Hi, this is Evan Tom with Coldwell Banker, and this video is specifically made as a review of the class that I just went to. It's the Bank of Hawaii First Time Home Lending Seminar Pathway to Home Ownership. So here's an example of what the slides look like. Take a look right there. And this is more geared specifically to Marie and Dwight about what my thoughts are and ways that I'd like to incorporate what I know to make the class as powerful and constructive and useful to everyone involved. And the reason I'm putting this together is one, because I want to get involved. I think that the home buying process is very, very, very important. That the hardest part to getting started is really just getting started. And anyone that has bought a place has really benefited from it. So my goal is to be an assistant in making this program just explosively powerful. The first thing I do want to point out is to say that I think there's a few other things in terms of some of the material that they left in these folders. They do leave a lot of material. I'll just go over them super quickly. So they have the review sheet on how it can be a better class. They have the benefits of doing your first home through Bank of Hawaii, 70,000 dream miles. They have the first time home buyers program on why some of the benefits of this program specifically tailored for first time home buyers. They do have a welcome to your dream home, what the current interest rates are right here, what are some of the programs. They do have a timeline of what the mortgage loan process works and some of the things you need to go through the process. They have an importance of understanding your credit score and why it's important, and also a looking for your properties. So a basic description on what are the types of properties on the island. And then I guess the last one is a VA home loan program. You've earned it. Tiny bit about that. But the other things that they can use, including on top of the slideshows themselves, is a real estate term sheet. So this is specifically for first-time home buyers and what terms that's used in the industry. Of course, if you are working with a lot of first-time home buyers, that the smart thing to do for a lot of the realtors is to not to say to dumb down the language, but just to make it relatable. You don't want to use these types of terms, but if they come up, this is a sheet to use them. As well, the overall home buying process, because there is a sheet on what the lending process works, but if the class itself is going to be dictated on what the overall process of buying a home is from start to end, then I think it would be very useful to have that whole timeline of what it looks like to start and taking them all the way through to the close, since that's what the slidestone presentation is about. The other thing that I think that they can do a little bit more on is building in examples of common first-time home buying issues or questions throughout, using them as examples as supplementary information. So instead of just talking about some information, they can use these stories and examples and relate them on things that every single first-time home buyer, the issues that they're going to have. Okay, so some of the other subjects that I think are very important that is kind of glazed over is two. One is why it's important to select your lender properly. Because let's face it, a lot of the first-time home buyers, they think, oh, I want to select the lender that gives me the best rate. Okay? But the best rate doesn't mean it's the best APR rate. Because they don't understand that different lenders can provide different things. That at the end of the day, even if the rate's 3.5 versus 4.0, that the APR can be very similar. Plus, at the end of the day, what the lender wants to do, or what the first-time home buyer wants, is a lender that can close on time, within budget, no issues, and is easy. The other thing is talking about pre-qualification that I notice a lot of, even the agents themselves don't really touch on, is the difference of what pre-qualification means versus what the monthly payments mean and what they're comfortable paying for. Because I have a client that was pre-qualified for $600,000 in terms of a loan, but that means that they're going to be paying upwards of $4,000 a month as a first-time home buyer. And yes, you can qualify that. You can get pre-qualified for that amount, but would any first-time home buyer really want to pay $4,000 for their first home? I would wager and say no. The other thing is in regards to how to find a realtor. Just as important as it is to qualify your lender and select your lender properly and vet them out, that it's very important to qualify your realtor. Yes, the typical way is that you'll go ahead and ask around, say, hey, do you know anyone that's a realtor? Hey, does your family or friends know a realtor? Who did you use for real estate? And that's great, but it doesn't guarantee that the realtor is good. So when you're talking about a process that's the most expensive purchase or sale of your life, you want to do your due diligence to make sure that they're professional. I mean, yes, you do need a relationship with them, but yes, you do need to make sure that they can do a good job. Okay, so the other thing is to correct really the value proposition of a real estate. It's very common that what you get as a buyer's realtor is really just a valet service, a guy that helps you find a home and then writes your contract. But a good realtor is much more than that. One, they're a time saver. That was touched on in the class. But secondly, they have access to a lot of information, not available to a typical buyer. So Colleen touched on it at the very end of hers to say that on the MLS sheet itself, there is some things that are specific to realtors. Yes, it's true, but that's just a small subset of what the access to the information is. Let me give an example. So my first blog post, and this is what I'm going to be doing weekly, is to talk about different projects, why you might be interested in them, things to look out for, and how to get more information on it. Because a lot of these new projects, that they're going to be geared towards affordable the population. And the interest is super high. Kekilohana was a 33% success rate in terms of people that applied and were able to actually close on a unit. And that's, I think, a little bit higher than some of the other ones, such as a Collection, 801 South Street. And it's important to get prepared for these things and understanding some of the new projects and why it's important to know them. The third one is setting expectations. It's important for them to set expectations as a realtor and as a lender so they understand that this is what they're going to get. This is what the process looks like, and to make sure that you keep them on track. Because if they aren't doing the things that they need to do, and that's shown in the FICO credit score, if they aren't doing those, then they aren't going to be able to buy a house. And it's very easy for them to fall off, especially after the first seminar of this. And I'll touch on this a little bit more about how to help them from the seminar itself, helping them through the process and closing on them. Because everyone that's coming through the seminar is a lead, a hot prospect, someone that wants to buy a place. And so the easier that we can make the program to help them through the process, the easier that we're going to be able to generate that business for us and for them to get them in a place that fits their lifestyle. That leads me to a few other points on what the value proposition for real estate is. Expediting and guiding through the process from the basic knowledge, and this is what the first time home buying seminar is, to actually closing the transaction. And then one of the biggest things in terms of matching their home is matching it to their lifestyle. So understanding who they are, and I think that's one of the things where we can make it a little bit more interactive throughout the process to pick someone out, to have them raise a hand, and they can even get 5 clips. 5 whole clips, one for every finger for their help. And then sort of the last thing, and this is big picture, is your realtor is not only there to help you through this transaction, but the next one, the one after that, and the one after that. Starts with first-time home buyer. The second one is when they get a family, wants to buy into a house instead of a condo. Well, maybe they have a bigger family, so we'll add someone else because they're taking on their grandparents. Well, what happens when when they are grandparents themselves? Well, they don't need a house. They can move back to a condo. So working them through that career is something that's very important because your realtor is there for your life. A lot of the good realtors, at least my dad, he's been a realtor for them, their kids, and maybe even their grandkids. Okay, so touching on a little bit earlier before the follow-up information. So my goal is my niche is to get the digital touch with that personal touch and to marry them together. So it's a follow-up information of, okay, well, you have this information. Hey, let's set you up with a realtor. Let's give you some information about that. Okay, well, what about additional classes? Obviously, you can't touch on one whole hour on everything that you need to in the process. Well, what about newsletters? What about some information to keep them involved in the process and to give them updated information to keep them excited? Maybe they're not ready now. Maybe they can't qualify now, but maybe they're going to be ready at the end of the year. Okay? Helping them to work their way so at the end of the year that they're able to move forward. And the last one, and this is what I'm doing right now, is to do a video because especially our generation, they do not want to read. I mean, that's a fact. Their attention span is longer than this video has been so far, but this is an example of what I provide, is a video source. So going on to that, there's been almost 100 people that were interested in the seminar, and only 30 people were able to show up, but really only 20 to 25 people actually showed up. So what about those 70 people? I mean, obviously they were interested. I mean, yes, we're going to build more seminars on it, but what if I told you that there's a way to get those 70 people involved and have space for the next people that are interested in the seminar? I mean, Banco U is paying a lot of money for these seminars, for this time, for the marketing, the material, everything. Why don't you get the most use out of it? What if the people that came told their friends and the friends couldn't make it, so you just showed them the video? Obviously, it won't be as useful as it is coming to the video, but there is a lot of follow-up information that you can do if you were to simply videotape the class. In part of the survey itself at the end, you ask, oh, what are some first-time homebuyer questions? Or what are some of the common questions that you have? And then you go about building another video about what the first-time homebuying questions are as a follow-up answer in a series, maybe a week later. It's very important to keep them involved through the process and to be a part of their life. And I think these are some of the ways for us, me being involved with you, of how I can help you and shape that into the easiest way possible from start to end. I guess some of the other things in terms of critiques of it, and obviously this is just my opinion. Again, I do want to say I want to get involved with this. I think it's very important. I do think that my expertise leads a little bit more to being able to tie it all together, both in the title and escrow side and living in real estate. I grew up in real estate, so I understand it. I'm a local, but I don't look like a local. Okay, so the whole purpose of the seminar is to, I think it needs to be streamlined a little bit more to better help first-time home buyers understand why they should buy, when they should buy, how they should go about doing it, and who they should use. So I think focusing a little bit more on the value proposition and making it a little bit more interactive is going to be the method of really getting them excited and giving them the applicable information to move forward instead of it just being an informational source. I do think that you can skip over the escrow portion and have it as a follow-up class. The class itself could be maybe entering escrow, what it means and why it's important, or maybe I think the tagline could be, so the seller agreed to the contract, you thought you were done, but that's just the beginning. Learn more about the escrow process. Okay, well that's all for now. I do appreciate your time. This video spent a lot longer than I thought, but it is a little bit more interactive in my thoughts on how I can provide value to you. So let me know if I can be of help. That's my goal. And if there's anything else I can do, or if you want to follow up, just let me know. Thank you. Bye-bye.